Happy holidays, folks. Hope you had a good Christmas or whatever you're celebrating. Taylor's very hungover.
I'm not hungover.
Dude, you look like shit.
It's because I stayed up till 4 a.m. because I was slightly intoxicated, and I got home at 1 a.m., and it was one of the only nights since Zaya's been born that she decided, I'm not going to sleep tonight, and she stayed up until 4 a.m. crying. And
you were fathering
and I was
while intoxicated? Wow.
That's irresponsible.
Wait, you know what?
Co-fathering.
We should roll this back. I don't want to put this out to the world
just
for people to hear this.
Just do a clap.
Here we go.
Come
All right,
back
we'll
in.
start over. All right. FGF 145. All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you had a good Christmas. Let's get right into it. This is the last episode of the year 2022. And we're going into 2023. New year, new Brian.
Yeah.
Brian's doing a full 180 change up.
You know what? I've always sort of thought that New Year's resolutions are dumb because like statistically, people by the third week of January usually don't adhere to them, and it seems like a bit performative to make a New Year's resolution. But I think I'm changing my mind on that because December is a hard month. I actually saw, to be serious for a second, I saw a Instagram post about this time of year being really difficult for recovering alcoholics.
Yeah.
Because and it makes sense, right? There's so much
Booze everywhere.
There's so much drink. Look at Taylor. He was
drinking right now.
He was drinking last night. He was drinking today. I'll actually have one too.
Let's get going.
And so, it's a really hard,
no, but he's right though. If I was trying to recover from alcoholism, which I am not, but if I
it's
was,
not funny, but yeah,
as we can tell by the cackling sound of that cracking.
We'll talk about that later.
If I was, my family Christmas would be rough. It would be rough. There's so much. There's so much booze.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much. My family and Kira's family also. They love to drink. It's been nonstop boozing all month.
You know what's really interesting is I have a friend whose whose dad was an alcoholic, and and I really thought that he would be I once he recovered, and he's been sober for many years now. I just thought, wow, that would be so challenging, and I'm sure that for a lot of people it very much is.
Oh yeah,
and he just seems to totally crush it. He was the type of person. He's still with us. I'm talking about when he was drinking. He was the type of person that felt like he could only be the version of him that people like if he was drinking.
Yeah.
And he is a very life of the party type character. And then when he stopped drinking, he was very much so just the same person.
Mm-hmm.
He just learned to be that kind of boisterous, very social, very outgoing person without drinking. But I would be curious to ask him internally how he feels about the whole situation. Because he's one that's it's fine to be drinking around me. It doesn't seem to bother him at all, but I wonder what that is internally.
When you said that he's recovered and he's been doing really well, I wonder internally what outwardly it might look that way, but you never know what somebody's going through.
And I'm sure for some people they actually do thrive, and they're no, that was a past part of me that I don't really think about anymore, or nor do I want to go back there.
Mm-hmm.
But then for some folks, it's each day is all right, I'm one day further.
Yeah,
let's just keep this ride rolling.
Yeah.
But I think in order to come back to the New Year's resolution thing.
Oh yeah.
For me to set myself up for success, you guys know I'm not a big drinker anyway. If we're gonna be here late at night watching fights or something like that, I'll probably have quite a few beers with you guys. But socially and casually, I don't drink much at all, except this time of year. It seems like you go to family events, you have even just one or two beers. I'm constantly having a beer or two. It's currently 12 o'clock. Or midday, and
the World Junior Championships.
Don't tell anybody.
The World Junior Championships are in town here now.
Right.
We're going to the game.
We're going to a hockey game after this. So if I wanted to do New Year, New Me, starting in December, it would be really difficult. I'd have to be saying no to a lot of things, and so I think for me to set myself up for the best chance to be successful, I want to make. I don't want to call it a New Year's resolution because then I feel like it'll just fail. But I think that one of my goals.
How about a New Year's challenge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
30
day,
challenges.
365 day challenge.
But
starting in the new year.
But for me personally, to get like a bit personal too, I've noticed that my sleeping habits haven't been great. Not even the amount of time that I sleep, but the hours that I sleep. Like I've been going to bed really late. I haven't been eating enough. Like I just neglect to eat meals a lot of the time. I feel really like quote unquote busy all the time, and I want to set aside some more time for myself.
In general or December you're talking about?
No, in general. Like when
December,
I'm reflecting on
this is his
2022.
challenge.
And so I want to be more organized with my time. I want to eat better. I want to sleep more. I don't want to drink.
You want to run? You want to go for runs with me?
Yeah, I want to exercise a lot more. So
We'll go to the gym tomorrow.
yeah, I feel inspired, and
Maybe not tomorrow.
you know, one of the things that's like part of the ADHD superpower, I think, is your ability to hyperfixate on something and go all in. Like, for example, when I was doing CrossFit a couple years ago, like I was hardcore.
Yeah.
Like I was measuring my
It was
food,
super annoying.
And yeah,
The macro stuff was like, get the fuck out of
but
here.
the crazy thing
is
is
that how
that
you guys feel about me and bike riding?
no,
because like we can go out and eat when we're on tour.
Yeah.
Do you remember like we'd be touring with him and he'd be
right.
like, guys, I gotta go like eat a bunch of flax seeds and there's no restaurants to do that. So like, can we just go have a meal at Bulk Barn?
that's like
Jesus
pretty close
Christ,
to
dude. I just
true.
want a breakfast sandwich.
But
fuck.
But the funny thing is for me is that that wasn't an added stress for me, and I was excited by it, and it was easy to stay on that routine because I was so hyper fixated on doing that, and I probably felt the best I've ever felt in my life. I can't afford a CrossFit membership every month because they're so expensive. Plus, it's like really intense on your body, and I want to do more stuff like stretching. And like I want to, like I'm almost in my mid-30s now, and I want to better prepare my body
To be an
and
old
mind.
fuck.
I got
To
a
be an
low
old
impact
person.
sport for you. Suggestion:
What is it?
cycling.
Yeah, cycling would be great.
Now it's starting to
Swimming.
get annoying.
Like to do like I need and just to focus on me a little bit longer.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Brian, you're really fucking steamrolling this, but keep going. We're 7 minutes in.
I need to be goal oriented. Like I need some sort of thing that I'm working towards, and like maybe that's doing a triathlon or
There you
something
go.
like that.
Sweet.
But
Taylor,
anyway.
I'll share with you for that.
what's your New Year's challenge?
New Year's challenge. We were talking about this last night. And I actually didn't get a turn to talk about mine because
Probably because Brian kept talking.
no, I think it was because we took some mushrooms and then the conversation just kind of went in another direction. Let's see. I
Shiitake mushrooms
want
in
to
Portobello, just for everybody.
yes, exactly. It was a mushroom. It was a fungi extravaganza. Being, I don't want to say a better dad, but just like focusing on being the best dad that I can be. In like Zay is changing all the time, so like what that role requires is changing all the time. So,
What if you're the most honest dad?
being malleable. Well, she doesn't talk, so I'm pretty honest with her. I mean, she really, we really lay it all out. We really lay it all out there, seeing as she doesn't understand the words. So
Bri, you want to be more goal oriented.
oh, and I want to build. I want to build my bone density.
Okay,
With running,
all right.
because
So
I don't want to break.
goal oriented for Brian.
Mhm.
Less of a deadbeat dad and more dense bones for Taylor.
Bone density is 2023 is the year of bone density.
And what about you, Jer?
For me, my challenge is I want to have more sex. According to a recent study,
Oh, okay.
low sex drive has been linked to all causes of death among men in Japan. Okay,
Like
so
general death?
oh yeah, just all causes. Yeah,
all cause mortality.
all cause mortality. If you have low sex drive, you're gonna die.
Low sex drive or less sexual success.
Low sex drive. So I'm hoping that the more sex I have in 2023 is going to be sexy me. That's going to increase my sex drive, which will decrease my chances of dying from all causes.
Guys, can we get fucking Andrew Huberman on this show to talk about like testosterone and like hormone stuff? He is
Maybe someday.
so incredible to talk about like everything that has to do. I mean, we were watching that that video with him talking about
Testosterone. If you don't,
talking about like
if you don't becock,
ejaculation and
yeah.
sex, and
Yeah.
you know, like how testosterone and various hormone levels like increase and decrease with your sexual activity, and what role that plays in being able to focus and being able to exercise and work and everything. It was really interesting.
So scientists have found a bold link between a lack of sex drive and an increase in the risk of death from all causes among men living in Japan. There's a lot to unpack from the study and some limitations to consider. Nevertheless, it hints that there may be an interesting association between libido and longevity, a relationship that has not been identified before. In the new study, researchers at Yamagata University looked at data on 20,969 people.
Wow.
That's 8,558 males and 12,411 females, aged over 40, who took part in an annual health checkup in the Yamagata Prefecture, a region of Japan known for its snowy mountains and hot springs.
I just have a question for you. Would that mean that if your goal is to not be part of this statistic, would you have to move to Japan, considering the study was done there? And like,
yeah,
they're probably guessing that there's some crossover between, it could be strictly national or cultural.
It could be just a cultural thing. Yeah. So, but I do want to go to Japan.
We should move.
So
we should
I might
relocate.
I might want to be horny before I go, in case I get there and I'm not very horny and I die from either cancer, cardiovascular disease, or other health conditions, which has been listed in this article.
Should we relocate the Sickboy HQ for like 6 months of 2023 to Japan?
Dude. Yeah.
To like a really expensive city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
we
like,
should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no more expensive than Halifax. It's getting crazy here, you know?
It is crazy here.
In some, they found that all causes of death were significantly higher among men who lacked sexual interest. This remained true even after they accounted for age, diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, smoking, alcohol intake, BMI, education, marital status, frequency of laughter, and psychological distress. Although the women in the study were more than twice as likely to report a low sex drive than the men, the researchers didn't find any link between their low libido and mortality. Quote, although sexual activity and sexual satisfaction are considered a benefit to psychological health and well-being in older groups, the association between sexual interest and longevity has not been investigated. This study is the first to prospectively examine associations between sexual interest and all-cause mortality and cardiovascular and cancer mortality in community-based populations, the study author writes.
I wonder, though, because one of the things that leads to low libido in men is like a lack of sleep, a lack of eating well, a lack of exercise. And so is the correlation between low
really
libido and death, or is it
hormones?
Yeah, is it all of those things that you're not doing that are unhealthy things to be doing in the first place that are driving your libido down or lowering your libido and therefore lowering or increasing your likelihood to die?
They say, first of all, the researchers note that male lack of interest may be related with unhealthy lifestyles. It's possible that men with low sex drive were feeling uninspired about affairs or of the bedroom because they were also experiencing problems with their immune system, inflammation, and their neuroendocrine system, which also made them more vulnerable to disease. It's known that mental health conditions like depression can also impact people's libido and are associated with mortality, which makes sense. Like if I'm like feeling like if my guts are nuts and I'm feeling like gassy and bloated and like farty and like poopy, which is like not uncommon for me because my guts are all fucked up because I don't have a fucking large intestine anymore. When I'm feeling that,
fucking get out the tiny violin.
I just don't want to do anything. I definitely don't want to have sex.
Yeah.
I nor do I want to like go to the gym, nor do I want to do my work. Like I just want to like fucking
play God of War.
Yeah. And then I beat it, so it's like fuck.
What do I do?
Now what do I do?
Contrasting my two experiences that I was talking about earlier, like the time when I was like really hardcore, like about my health, and then this past year,
were you just walking around with a raging heart on the whole time?
I would say there was a pretty stark difference in my sex drive, though. Yeah. Like I mean, I don't think last year was super unhealthy for me, and I certainly don't think that I had like an a really low sex drive, but I would definitely say there was a difference between the two periods of time.
People that, I mean, typically they say that like people who have really low libidos, one of the like sort of, I mean, I feel like it's a catch-all thing. It's like if you're feeling depressed, like one thing that people say is like, hey, like physical activity may help that. Same with low libido. They're like, get out for a run, go for a run, get your fucking juices going, and then all of a sudden your juices want to go. Be like more juices that you don't want to be going. You know what I mean, I'm talking about cum.
From like an anecdotal perspective, like, I can't really pinpoint like any drastic changes that's ever happened in my libido or sex drive, but like I went from like age 20 to 27. I really didn't do any exercise at all. I did a lot of yoga, but like in terms of like really getting your heart rate up and like vigorously exercising, really didn't do anything ever for about 7 years. And then 27 to now, like even an off month for me is like still like a high level of exercise or a high like quantity of exercise. And I feel like sex drive has just been like nothing but consistent for like as long as I can remember, which has now been 5 years of like.
I mean, hey, you guys had a baby. You know what I mean?
We didn't even have to have sex to do that. I mean, we had sex 1,000 times to do it, but it didn't work any of them.
Ew.
And then we had to do it in a dish. We had to have a dish, babe.
Finally, it's also worth considering how this study only involved approximately 200 LGBTQ plus people, which the researchers concede is not enough people to build any stronger conclusions from. Bearing all this in mind, the study still raises some interesting trends. The researchers write in their conclusion that perhaps health authorities explore the possibility of launching initiatives to advocate sexuality as a means to improve public health, just as other countries have. The Canadian government, through public health promotion materials, has begun to endorse sexual activity as one element of aging well agenda. In Japan, there is more prejudice about sex among the elderly than in the Western world. And they say, we hope our findings will help promote public health through advocating sexuality in Japan.
Man, there must be like when you get old, and like I imagine there's a point in a like elderly couples relationship where they just stop having sex. Like whether it's even like a mobility thing or whatever, like a lack of communication or lack of interest. That must be like it must make you feel extra old at that.
Yeah.
That
did you
point
watch?
when that happens.
Did you watch X, the 2022 horror movie that was the movie that came before Pearl, which was the prequel? Well, there's a lot of this actually has a lot to do with that movie. You know, that old lady wasn't getting her Cummins from her old man,
and then she became
comeuppance from her old man,
and
she fucking murdered everybody.
That was why.
I was thinking about this.
No, but yes,
I was thinking about this in relationship in a different way over the holidays. Maddie's grandmother recently had her license taken away from her. She's like 90 years old, and the same week or the week before, my grandfather, who's also in his 90s, had his license taken away. And I was thinking about how that would affect, how that might affect them mentally. And like, you think of like the day that they're driving and then the day that their license is removed, the next day or whatever, they haven't aged much in that 24-hour period, but mentally knowing that, like, think about it now, like, in your 30s, if you're thinking about the day that your license is taken away because you're too old, that is then like psychologically sending you a message that you're old now.
Yeah.
And it must be, it's kind of like have you guys heard about like when people retire and they stop going to work and then they end up like aging really quickly if they don't find a new hobby or activity to do?
Yeah.
I imagine that it's similar to that. I know that if my license was taken away because I was too old to drive, I'd be like, all right.
Then I'd start picking up cycling. I'll join you then.
What's interesting is that on that note is Kyla's grandfather, who's 98. He had his license. He couldn't renew his license probably in like his early 90s, like 92 or I don't know, something like that. And they really thought that was like, ugh, that's might do it. You know, like that could be the thing that, you know, he's so independent. He actually still lives on his own.
I was going to say he's been independent. Though.
Yes. I mean, he relies on a lot of family support, but like he lives in his own house and takes care of himself to a certain degree. And he just adapted like crazy. It was actually really surprising. And he just was like, oh, okay, well.
How does he get around?
Family now.
Okay.
I mean, like he's got family that live like across the street from him. So they're always
Generally
there.
piggybacks, stuff like that.
I remember
he's a large man. He's like 6'3".
My great aunt who's passed away. I was at a funeral with her like years and years ago, and she was like in her mid 90s at the time, and she was still driving. And I asked, like when I was talking to her at the funeral, I was like, "How did you get here?" And she was like, I drove. And I was like, "You're still driving?" And she's like, "Yes, but I only take the back roads." And I was like, "That's insane. You're going to cause a car accident."
Probably
it's funny because like when I think about, like, I feel very lucky for having been exposed to like yoga practice and like meditation practice and stuff at like a very young age. Because it's sort of, it really like became ingrained in me, like the importance of like taking care of
your body,
not just like exercise, but like taking care of your muscles and your joints and your spine in like a very caring way, and not just like a pounding exercise sort of way. And I think about like what I think often about what will that version of me look like when I'm 80 or 90 years old, because, you know, lifespan is just going to continue to grow.
Yeah.
And by the time we are that age,
80 will be the new 40.
How old are we going to be? How old are we really going to be when we're 80? You know, are we going to be the same 80 as the 80 now? Or is it going to be like more like being 60, which like 60 now, like I look at my parents who are like in their early 60s, and like they seem to me, they don't seem old at all to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You're real.
Don't get me started on Silver Fox Maxine.
Speaking of for, you know, and all this to say, like, if anybody out there is feeling like a lack in libido and you want to jack up your sex drive, one way not to do it is by masturbating with Christmas ornaments. So doctors are warning against the surprisingly stupid XXXmas trend. Masturbating with ornaments, not a good idea. A United Kingdom doctor is raising eyebrows across social media by warning people of the dangers of masturbating with ornaments come Christmas time.
Wait,
which is apparently an actual trend.
Where is that trend found?
TikTok.
In the UK, but on TikTok, yes. It is not advisable to masturbate with Christmas ornaments, Dr. Sarah Welsh, a gynecologist, told Need to Know online. She was listing the dildos and the dildos and don'ts of the scandalous Yuletide tradition, which sees people hospitalized after getting frisky with everything from glass baubles to candy canes.
But is this sounding and ass play?
Here is a photo of
oh my god,
a candy cane.
Guys, come on, it's a hook.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, pulling that out. So again, for folks who are just listening. You can see this over on YouTube. We are looking at an X-ray of someone's pelvis with a candy cane right up either the anus or the hoo-ha.
And it's just not the right way.
No, the hook side's in.
It would have been more productive to use the other.
Yeah. It's a hook. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And candy canes,
they're so sticky.
They're notoriously brittle.
Yeah.
And so sticky.
Christmas ornaments can have sharp aspects or pieces that can break during masturbation, which cause soreness, the risk of trauma, and are just generally unsuitable for your vagina, warned Welsh, who co-founded the condom brand Hanks. In other words, leave your elf on the shelf come Christmas time. Even Christmas confections pose a threat due to hygiene issues.
The shelf up their ass? What's happening?
The elf on the shelf. They're sticking the elf on the shelf because he's a naughty elf.
Their shelf.
They're sticking the elf in their shelf.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So due to hygiene issues, concerns about breaking pieces off, or the sugar contents of items such as candy canes, anything with sugar in it, such as Christmas confectionery, should also just stay away from the vagina as it disrupts the delicate ecosystem of the vaginal microbiome and can predispose you to vaginal thrush infections.
I'm not sure I get the excitement of sticking things that aren't designed for your butt or vagina into your butt or vagina. Like, is it the excitement that you shouldn't be doing it?
I think so. Yeah, probably something to do with that.
Something to that.
Yeah,
or just like, I don't know, Christmas role play. I'm sure
it probably also. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is speculation, but it probably also has a little bit to do with, like, you know, like that formal period of like discovering your own sexuality. And so, like, maybe the first time you ever masturbated was, you know, for most people, like maybe for females, it's like humping a pillow, right? And so, like, maybe that kind of like sticks. And when you're by yourself, you're like, I'm gonna put the pillow between my legs and do that. Or, you know, for a guy, it's, you know, fucking a watermelon or something. You know what I mean? Like I put a microwaved watermelon.
Yeah, I mean, we all know. Yeah,
you sort of like stick with that. You know, it like sticks around. But like for someone, it's like, this candy cane. Like, maybe if I put that.
How long do you microwave it for?
10 seconds.
Do you think
it's so full of water you don't need?
Do you think that part of it too is maybe like an embarrassment of going to a sex shop to buy toys or something?
Yeah, it could
maybe
be that too.
And probably a smaller percentage of people, but like they're just like, hey, conveniently this thing is here, and I will use this.
And it looks like it could maybe possibly go up. Maybe.
I mean, that's a stretch with the candy cane, but.
I mean, it's
some of those,
it's semi-phallic.
I could see how some of those ornaments, you know, like the long sort of
butt plug shaped ones,
gradient shaped. Yeah, they basically look like little icicle butt plugs.
So
I can see that.
There was this phenomenon was more common than one might think. With one study in 2013 mentioning people inserting glass baubles and even turkey basters in themselves. Meanwhile, a social media post in a paramedic Facebook group described instances of holiday hornballs improvising with candy cane and tree decorations, along with photos showing the graphic X-ray from each. According to the data from the UK National Electronic Injury Surveillance System, there were 13,213 cases in which people aged 25 to 64 inserted decorating items in their bodies in 2021 alone. Did you hear that? I'm going to say that one more time.
That's a lot of people.
13,213 cases of people that are ages of
and
adults.
Those are only the ones that went wrong.
Yeah, right.
Decorating items in their bodies in 2021.
And you got to imagine that the case of something going wrong is like
10%
on the high side, 20%. Yeah,
it's
probably
not
more like 10%.
It's not just Yuletide baubles that have been found in particular orifices. Last fall,
150,000 people conservatively.
Last fall, one Randy fella got 6 kidney beans lodged in his urethra during a bizarre attempt at sexual gratification, known in the medical community as sounding. Meanwhile, in September, a 27-year-old man in India had to be hospitalized after allegedly shoving a deodorant canister up his butt, where it remained for 3 weeks before doctors removed it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. Though
yes, it is.
I was surprised to hear the turkey baster included as something that went wrong, because I would assume that might, of all things,
it's the right shape.
Holiday themed. It might actually work, and it's designed to sort of go in something.
It is.
Maybe it's because they were inserting high sodium gravy once it was in.
Oh, that's got to be bad for the insides.
I mean, yeah.
Let's
really
kind of
dries everything up.
Let's use a little bit of mouthwash here and get that awful stuff out of our minds by talking about something that's really fucking sweet. There's a Dutch supermarket that has implemented these slow chat lines in their supermarket. So Jumbo, Netherlands-based supermarket chain with over 700 stores.
They sponsor my favorite team.
Oh, really? Jumbo does?
Jumbo.
Interesting.
Jumbo.
Jumbo Visma.
Jumbo, a Netherlands-based supermarket chain with over 700 stores, introduced a kletskassa in 200 of its locations, which translates to chat checkout, a special lane for customers who are not in a rush and could use a little talk with the cashier. Jumbo started this effort in 2021 and it has reportedly helped thousands. Kletskassa was created to combat loneliness in the elderly, but is open to all ages who can benefit from it. The chat checkouts are a part of the One Against Loneliness program, an initiative to connect companies, organizations, and citizens to help their elderly population. How cute is that? Come on up here. You gotta commit. Isn't that sweet? I was thinking about this. Like, would you like if Superstore or Sobeys or someone like started that? Would you guys? How do you guys feel about chatting with your cashiers?
I mean, personally, well, I don't go to the grocery store. I pick up my groceries. So,
All right, Brian.
I feel. I think it would depend.
I never touch this stuff.
I think I'm 50-50 on it. Like it really depends on the mood or mindset that I'm in. If it's like a slow, relaxed day and I don't have somewhere to go, or I'm not like rushing off to another place, then definitely I'd love it. Also, I mean, I'm not sure what your guys' criteria are for choosing a checkout line, but typically I choose the line with nobody in it.
Right.
So if all of the other lines are full and they're like the express lanes and the chat lane is free and it's open and all I have to do is have a conversation with the person, I'd much prefer to go and chat with the person and not wait in the line. But if there's like a lineup,
do you think they kick you out of that line when you get there and you're like, I'm in a rush? Just can you? And they go, no. We have 5 minutes
this
minimum.
Is we have to talk.
Like, do they have, you know, the signs where it's like express lane 1 to 12 items max.
Mm-hmm.
With the chat lines, it's like chat line 5 minutes minimum.
You know, it'd be annoying because, like, you know, I mean, you guys know this. There's like obviously a spectrum of like quality of the conversationalist that you speak to when having a conversation. So like
they only hire high quality conversationalists.
Like, do they evaluate their cashiers on their ability?
We would get picked up. This would be an easy job for us to get.
Dude, we could rock that.
You know, what'd be really interesting would be to have one of the cashiers on the podcast.
Brian just sits there and tells them about his therapy session that day for like 25 minutes,
and then ask them for their opinion.
And then ask them for the money. And he's like, "Because I'm done now. That was my conversation
Guys,
with you."
I know it might seem like I talk a lot about my therapy on the show. That's because that's the nature of this conversation. You know, I would like to think that I'm a much better listener when I'm having a conversation outside of this podcast.
That's unfortunately one of your ADHD not so superpowers. Is you just listen like a piece of shit.
I'm just waiting for my turn to talk.
Speaking of listening and speaking of conversation,
is it my turn yet?
I had a really lovely conversation at a Tibbs Eve party this year with a neurosurgeon.
A what?
Tibbs Eve.
What's Tibbs Eve?
You should know this, but with your mother being from Newfoundland. A Tibbs Eve is a traditional Newfoundland celebration that takes place on the eve of Christmas Eve, on the 23rd. And
sounds like an excuse to drink.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Is that what mummers are all about?
Mummers would come around on Tibbs Eve. Yeah, they would bust into your house. You wouldn't know who they are. They'd drink all your liquor, eat all your food, and then go on to the next house.
What's
and
a
make
mummer?
A bunch of racket.
I don't know if you can.
That is it.
I know it, but what is a mummer? I can't. Really
mummering
exactly
is an old Newfoundland. So it was actually a mummer party that we went to, the Tibbs Eve. So I dressed up as a mummer.
You wear a white sheet on your head, do you not? Kind of like a head ghost.
Yeah. So like
non-clan
different type of white sheet for sure.
It's not clan.
It's a pillowcase with holes cut out. It does look a little problematic, but it's very separate from like the scene in Django.
Wait, is this like Halloween mixed with Christmas Eve?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
So mummers would, in like small town Newfoundland, you'd be having a Tibbs Eve party, and mummers would be people in the community that go around in like groups of, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of like carolers. But instead of coming to your door, knocking on it, and you open the door and they sing a song, they barge in through your back door without announcing. And you are trying to figure out who they are. If you guess who they are, they got to take the mask off. But if you can't guess who they are, you don't know who they are. And they eat your food and they drink your drink. And they make a bunch of noise. Maybe they're playing a song or something, or hitting the spoons, or just fucking making a racket with like a noise maker they made. And then they go off after they ate your shit and drank your shit. They go off to the next house and do the same thing. And they are dressed in silly. It's just dressed silly. So like big sheets over them and like oversized overalls and sometimes like old hag masks, or pillowcases and like funny lipstick. The boys dress as women, the women dress as boys. Like it's a whole...
I can't believe I haven't really heard of this before. The second thing is that
you would
notice
in my parents' house, there's a
a
There's
lock on the
A
back
painting
door.
of a bunch of mummers walking up to a house.
Yes.
Classic Newfoundland painting.
Classic New.
Actually,
Yeah.
So wait, but
I'll show you a photo. I'll show you a
I'm
photo of
really
some mummers.
curious about the first time that this happened. Like the first time a group of people were like, "Hey,
There's a group of
what
mummers
if
right
we?" Whoa, dude! It kind of looks like the guy from Strangers.
there. Yeah. Yes, dude.
Oh yeah, it
That
does.
was mummers
Gone
gone wrong.
But that also, by the way, scariest movie I've ever seen in my entire
great film.
life.
Yeah,
Strangers.
great. Great movie.
But I'm curious about the first time that this happened when.
Here's
when-
another mummer. This is a good one. I went out with a hag mask.
Okay,
Yeah. Did
But
you not see it in my stories?
I did.
I had the
did,
Leafs
but,
jersey on, my big gut, and I was.
I did see that, but I
I didn't see that.
You did see that? It was
no.
good. Good.
I
good
wasn't
shit.
sure what it was all about, but
You
also,
were just like, Jeremy on a.
How
on a
comfortable?
Wednesday.
How comfortable
wait.
did you feel putting a white sheet on your head?
No, I didn't. I
in
wore
2022?
an old hag mask like this.
Oh, okay.
I was
Oh,
not.
I did see
I was
that.
not going to take in any part in wearing that.
So what? So what was it like when the first group of people were like, "Hey, we're going. This is going to be a thing.
I don't
We're
know.
going to put masks on. We're going to go in the back door of these people's house. We're going to make a bunch of noise. If they can't guess who we are, we're going to eat all their shit."
Dude, it would never fly today. I mean, it probably still flies in small town Newfoundland today.
Yeah.
But like, if just a bunch of mummers showed up to my house today
In the city?
Halifax,
No,
in the
no.
city,
No,
and
no, no.
broke into my house
No,
and started
no,
drinking
no.
my booze,
No.
I would beat the fuck out of them with a
Yeah, yeah,
baseball
yeah.
bat because I wouldn't understand that this is just a friendly tradition.
Wait, don't
Yeah.
you get a bunch of mummers at your place all like every week?
What? No. What
When
are
they're
you
coming in and taking packages and stuff.
Yeah, they come in to steal your packages.
Are
If
you
don't
talking about
guess
the
it-
porch pirates
If you don't
that
guess
I-
who they are, they'd steal your Amazon packages.
I did catch someone stealing packages out of my condo the other day. And I gave him a good fright.
It probably does. It's so wild how like traditions that were strong like decades ago in small town Newfoundland. It's like no time has passed.
Oh no, yeah, it still goes.
Like it's very,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
The world has stood still
Now here's a tradition that I would love to see change.
in some ways.
Because how we got on this conversation was a conversation that I had at the mummers party with a neurosurgeon, a new neurosurgeon, young buck named. Well, I won't say his name just in case he doesn't want his name put out here. But wonderful guy, neurosurgeon here in Halifax, and we were having a conversation about the amount of waste that goes into just everyday hospital business.
Oh my god!
So
yeah.
the amount of waste specifically that goes behind a surgery,
but
And-
a lot of unfortunately necessary waste, right?
Wait, what
Because
type
of-
of
right.
waste?
So that's what I said. I said,
Because
well,
of the
yeah. I mean, you
sanitary
kind of
stuff.
have to. And he goes, yes, there are things that like you obviously can't. That you can't.
I mean, we could like start recycling with syringes and stuff.
Yeah. There's that stuff. But he was like, but there are countries that actually have implemented these systems within their hospital systems. That, for example, like for certain like scrubs or certain sheets and stuff that go through this like really intense laundering system, and it all comes back into the hospital. So instead of like just fucking throwing out everything that you've used or that you've worn, they kind of recycle it. And in order to get that implemented into a hospital today, like here in Nova Scotia, the amount of money that it costs is actually like absurd.
To implement the system.
Yes. Now we had an opportunity to implement it way back in the day. They chose not to, and now we're seeing the ramifications of this. But there's been this announcement recently about a really large sum of money that's going into the VG hospital here in Halifax to like basically overhaul the whole system. And there's
the
one
federal government just like, I mean, do you know if that specifically has anything to do with like the healthcare conversation that's been happening over the past
I think it
couple of
must.
months?
Yeah, there's it's something in the realm of like $2 or $3 billion that they're going to put into. But there's a surgeon at Nova Scotia Health Authority who's really aiming and banking on changing the way that hospitals approach waste.
Wait, so I need some more context so that I care more about the waste, because like from what I've heard so far is things like syringes and stuff that typically like you understand that that's going to be a waste product through the processes that they're doing. What is some of the waste that they could, other than like bed sheets and gowns or whatever, that they could reuse?
Well,
or
I'm
find
not
a way to
entirely
recycle?
sure, but and I'm going to try to get this doctor on to actually talk about that specifically. But through this conversation, my friend, who's the neurosurgeon, told me about this artist, and she was this woman named Maria Koijck, and she had breast cancer and had surgery to remove her tumor and to have
Mastectomy?
like reconstructive breast surgery. And she was an artist that asked to have all of the materials that were used for her surgery to be saved so that she could use them for an art project to show how much waste goes into one single patient for one single operation.
Wow.
And here's a clip. Folks, if you aren't watching on YouTube, I highly suggest you come check this out, or go look up Maria Koijck laying among the waste from her operation. This is a photo or a little video of it right here.
Whoa.
So all this stuff you see is actually from her surgery.
Whoa.
Look at the amount of gloves.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Is that not astounding?
Wow. That is cool.
She said, in 2019, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and had to undergo a full mastectomy for this. At the end of 2020, I received a new breast made of body material. The operation took 10 hours, and I am overjoyed. She said, during the process of my illness, in the run-up to this operation, I discovered that 60% of all surgical equipment is disposable. For example, stainless steel scissors are flown in from Japan, and after a single cut, they end up in the trash can.
Whoa.
To get an idea of the total amount of waste produced by my operation, I asked the medical team to collect all the waste from my operation, and you can see the result here. I am more than happy to have had the chance to heal, but I am also shocked by 6 garbage bags full of waste for one operation, my operation. As an artist, I've been putting waste at the center of my work for years. It begs the question for me. People want to get better, but at what cost?
That is like really
amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah. Amazing in the truest sense.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, and the reason why I asked for like context of that is because like what type of waste was there from an operation like that is because in my head, and even when you started to talk about the art project, I was like, oh, it'll be a canvas with, you know, a few tools and stuff attached to it. In that video that we just watched, she's laying on the floor, and in a circle around her are layers.
It was like a big art attack. You know, like it was like Neil Buchanan going, "I'm going to make a big art attack."
And that's just the direct. That's probably just the direct waste. There's probably there's so much more indirect waste. Like when I think about when I was in the hospital for a week after my accident, you know, like all the shit that goes along with being, you know, having like a bunch of lacerations and cuts all over your body and cleaning supplies that they come in and they, you know, they're dressing your wound. Like the waste was probably like if you're somebody who's in the like ICU or something, like after a serious like a gunshot wound or something like really really serious, I mean there's probably 10 times that waste when you're there for an extended period of time.
Not to mention the fact that they mentioned like a pair of scissors traveling from Japan to, you know,
single use
here for a single use, the emissions of the transportation of that and
when you chase it down to the source, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a single cut. I mean, there's just got to be like,
can't you wash that?
Of course you can wash it. Of course you can.
Think about
you can absolutely put that in some sort of like sterilization machine.
For sure. Think about the dentist. Yeah. I was thinking about this the last time I was at the dentist is the fact that they're reusing those
Never
tools
been.
all the
What's
time.
that like?
You should go.
But dude, here's
hey, yo, best gift I got for Christmas? An electric toothbrush with a water pick built in.
Dude, are you gonna go to the
here's
dentist?
the issue. Here's the thing with
I
dentists.
got the toothbrush with the water pick built in. I don't have to now.
Guys, here's the thing with dentists.
I'm wiping my ass in my mouth.
Dentists are largely private or almost exclusively private.
Yeah. And
so like they can't be fucking around with throwing out a tool every time they use it.
Yeah.
Because they're a private business.
Yeah.
And I'm not this isn't like a healthcare should be private conversation or
we know where you stand on that.
But it's an aspect, it's an aspect to a private business where waste is minimized at every turn because it saves money.
Yeah.
And that is something that unfortunately any public system, not just medical, but any public system is not going to be as concerned about because public money is like, it's much more ethereal.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it comes from the taxpayers and there's millions of those and, you know, it's just a different thought process around money.
Yeah, so pretty interesting topic, and one that I'm hoping we can kind of dive into in a Wednesday routine checkup episode in the new year. But folks, with that, this is it. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for being a part of this family, of this community that we've been building over the last 7 years. We had a really awesome 2022, and we are looking forward to 2023 with all of you.
New year, new Sickboy.
New year, new
New
Brian.
us.
And if
Us.
you want to be a part of the community, come on over to our Discord. Lots of fun happening over there. We've got tons of really interesting people talking about their lives and engaging in really fun and funny conversations. You can find the link to the Discord channel in the show notes of this episode. And while you're at it, leave a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or leave a rating on Spotify on the mobile app. We'd love to see it. And really, truly, just do that. It would be really helpful.
Mhm.
And that's it for this week. So
And this is a wrap up show for 2022. So let us know what's your favorite episode from 2022. What are some of your favorite moments? What are some of your favorite gaffes? That us silly folks have said.
I thought that word was
And
cool,
done.
and then you used it, and now
Gaffes.
sounded.
this guy's all facts, no printer, eh? TBH.
Shit, dude. That's bussin'.
No cap.
Well, straight no cap, bussin' for real. From Sickboy HQ over here. Send your feedback to letters@sickboypodcast.com. And if you want to be a guest on the show in 2023, go to sickboypodcast.com/contact and fill out the form.
And you know what?
No cap.
If the truth is that the one thing that can help make your New Year's resolution successful is by telling somebody else and having them hold you accountable to it. So I hope that I achieve that today. If you want to achieve that, you can send me personally your New Year's resolutions
At
and then,
902-579-5131.
and then follow up.
Text that number. Text it.
Follow up with me after 6 months and let me know how your progress went. Thanks as always to the folks who make the show happen. A huge thank you to Jeff Lonis and to Rich O'Coin. We love you both. And that's all I got.
That's it for this week and this year.
I'm Brian.
I'm Taylor.
And I'm Jeremy, and this is Sickboy.